Hello everyone. Welcome to the Osirian above the New Earth Star Sanctuary. Today's date is May 17th, 2016, and this is just a month, a day over a month, of the April 16th date, when I first spoke to you about what I had received concerning May 29th coming up, and the Arcadia Starstreams, which is a cosmic Earth event that will be opening 3 portals. I don't even want to use the word portals. I want to say streams that come through a portal at Uluru in Australia. You know, that is the beautiful giant red rock that was later named Ayers Rock, but it's truly Uluru by the Aborigines. It's a very sacred place on the planet and very key to the whole New Earth Ascension dynamic that Thoth, my Inner Planes mentor, Thoth Hara, gives me. And various times he has come back to that location and telling me what will transpire there at different points in the whole movement toward our ascension moment of LP40, our Light Principle 40, which is what he's been talking about to me since, since the 1970s. And so we focus on Uluru once again in regard to bringing these Arcadian star streams through. And there are 3 particular pathways. And these pathways come through Omicron, which is a star system in the northern circumpolar constellation of Ursa Major, Orionis, which is a 5-star system in the constellation of Orion, just to the southwest of Al-Niktak, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is approximately 1,150 light years from Earth, and Stella Maris, which is the name of Ursae Minoris, or Polaris, the brightest star of Ursa Major. Ursa Minor. It is called the guiding star, also the lodestar, the ship star, and steering star, because it has been used for celestial navigation at sea since antiquity. But these particular points in the cosmos are just the places where this cord or streaming comes through. What is collected is a lot more. It's very universal. And it's coming through now because now is the time for Earth to begin to receive that again. Now, I have done 2 previous videos on this, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on what I've already spoken about. There will be links to those videos present. But I am going to go back for just a moment and pick on some certain points here, focus on them by showing you these pieces in the video. So here's my first video where I say, some days ago I was given a date of May 29th of this year as a time when 3 distinct star streams, which had been with this Earth eons ago, and yet had been sealed away from the planet for our own good in regard to our not being able to actually access those energies in a proper way. And now they are being opened again, and they're coming through specific portals to help to facilitate the whole process that we're going through right now in the Ascension modality, with the Pyramidus radius and all the amazing changes going on the planet. Now we're needing these star frequencies. We're ready for them. We can receive them. We can translate them. And this is a good sign that despite all the seeming chaos and discord that still remains on the planet, that we have made that much progress. And so when this streaming comes through to the planet, it will enter through Uluru, and then it will be disseminated throughout the entire spectrum of portals on this planet. And in doing so, it will connect us sort of like a live wire and feed us the cosmic codes that are so essential for us to move beyond this universe. Now, when I say that, when we move into the new Earth star vibration, we're not moving beyond this universe. We are going into a world, from a world system 1 to a world system 2, as Thoth puts it. It's a higher dimensional aspect of this universe. However, you might say that it floats on the surface of the membrane of the universe. And in doing so, it picks up the coordinates and accesses more easily other universal spectrums. Other universes, other soap bubbles, so to speak, that are floating along. It's kind of hard to explain these things, as you might have noticed, with I'm stuttering and carrying on trying to talk about such concepts. But in essence, the new Earth star, although it's still in our universe, it is floating. It's a floating world rather than one that's embedded deep down into it like we are here. So we need those codes from the other universes to stream through these connections. And most specifically, I say other universes, let me be a little more specific, from the atopic universe, which is the central node that brings together our universal package, which is a positive and a negative universe and a central neutral universe. And the neutral universe is the atopic, which is not what is the word I'm looking for? It's all as one. It has no other side to it. It's just a oneness universe. Whereas the two others, the one we are in, you could say, is the positive. And the negative one is not one that, it's a shadow side of this one. And when I say shadow, I don't mean negative. Very hard to explain again. I'm not going to try to get into that too much. But what I was trying to say in the first place was that it's essential that this planet, as it is now, receives the nutrients from the Nutra universe, or what Thoth calls the atopic universe, and so that it can bring the planetary genius and all its light-coded beingness into the new Earth star vibration. So that's what we're about here. And there are a lot of things that are helping it do that, but this one on the May 29th date is essential because it actually introduces for the first time the true coordinates to the atopic universe into the whole ascension dynamic process, thus into the pyramidus radius, which is going to need those codes in order to help us bridge and prepare for the Light Principle 40 ascension experience as a whole, as a planetary beingness. There's another thing I speak about, which is called, I think it's Dove Star Andara crystal that was delivered to this planet just a few months ago. And it is a pure Andara and not being hosted by the Andara crystal glass. So I speak about it a little bit here. I made a video on it, but it's for portal members only. So I'm going to share with you just a little bit in this original video that I made on the Arcadia Starstreams. But because it's pure, you see, there hasn't been a pure Andara on this planet since the Lemurian Andarian beings took it away and then brought it back as raided into the hosting crystal glass and lava glass and other things on the planet, and now they're beginning to ray it into crystals. But this is a hosting process, like we have host skulls for the dwellers. They aren't the real thing, but they're hosting it. But this Indara is pure, and it was placed there in the sands only a short time ago. They didn't give me a date. I would say a month ago, maybe weeks ago. I don't know. And I would say here that it's in Mongolia is where this has been planted. And so this star crystal, this Indara crystal, is the element that is drawing, or that is saying X marks the spot, drawing the Arcadian Starstream to the planet. Well, that's simplifying it a little, but let's put it that way because it's denoting, it's like flashing, it's a marker. And so you'd say, well, why is it in Mongolia rather than at Uluru? But the whole process is a global one for the planet, it's planetary. And that particular node is connected to Uluru very strongly and allows the dynamic to create a geometric as it approaches Uluru and enters into the, actually it's going into the earth and coming up through Uluru. I need to make that clarification. So it would be going through at Mongolia and coming up through Uluru and then disseminating out on the surface of the planet. And so, proceeding, I saw these hawk-headed beings, which were the company of Horus, surrounding the Uluru, great stone, and they then turned into Anubis-headed ones, men with, Anubis masks, so to speak, and a staff, and they were pounding the ground around Uluru. And as they did so, the vibration was set up, and that is what disseminated the energies of the star streams throughout the surface of the earth, going into the portals, all of the portals, the key portals of the earth. Now, of course, this is symbolic, but it is an energy function, and in my second Starstreams video, I talk about it in detail, and the whole actual scientific reasoning for that with the Yushuda, which is a dynamic, I guess, I don't know what else to call it, that surrounds the planet and that operates sort of like lenses that move and turn, almost like a gyroscopic effect on the planet. And so in the second video, I talk about that and how it relates to what I saw that was symbolically outpictured. But I also believe that the companions of Horus and the Chioptos, who are the guardians of Earth grids, are involved in this, because the companions of Horus would be represented, of course, by the hawk-headed ones, and the Chioptos are represented by the Anubis. Now, this is all things that I've received many, many years ago, but they're all lining up and falling into place now, at this time, for me, with the visions and the things that I'm receiving now concerning May 29th. So how may we work with these energies now? I mean, what does this really have to do with us now, at this time? Well, for one thing, when these cords or Arcadians open up and those nutrients start flowing through, which, well, they will be doing right away. And, of course, not all the nutrients, as I call it, the light codes are going to hit us at once. But, as they start feeding them through, in layers, in increments, how they're supposed to come through. I say they because they are guardians, ultras, luminaries working with this process for us, perhaps even beyond the scope of that. But in any case, there's an intelligence controlling the flow of these light codes and what happens with them. And as this starts happening, wow. I mean, we're already looking at a wow situation on the planet, are we not? with the whole transparency being forced on the planet. We can see the diabolical workings of those in control of the planetary flow, not planetary, global world flow of money, power, greed, all of these things. We've known it before, but since Bernie Sanders began running for president, I mean, it just all broke wide open because they felt so threatened by him that they're doing everything they can to stop him. Of course, it's not just about him, it's about the whole thing, their whole thing of power. And now we're seeing, the rigged elections. All this has been going on all along, but most people are going, oh, well, yeah, things are rough. But they didn't really see it. They didn't really see how it was. And now we are seeing it, and we're banding together, not only in the United States, but all over the world. And this is a major, major experience. It's not political. It's not even revolutionary in the old world sense. And I speak old world like just a few years ago. It is a whole new dynamic. It is an updwelling. That's what Thoth would call it, rather than a revolution. And it's connected to so much more outside of world power and control. When these Arcadia Starstreams hit the fan, it's going to boost it up even higher. And we're really going to start seeing a clearing coming about. Not without a challenge, not without some disorder involved in order to achieve order. But it will be in our face, up close and personal, and we, the people of the world, will have a say in it. We won't be just shuttled around from post to pillar. We will be a part of the process. So get ready, and, become aware and stay present in the moment. Don't get disillusioned by all the awful stuff that you're seeing put out on the table, because it's been there for a long time. But it's being cleared, and you have to see it first before you can clear it. We have to clear it in our own beings, and we have to clear it together as a unified whole. And the Arcadian Starstreams are a big, big part of that. So working with them in some kind of meditational format where you just breathe them in and out with the universe, and you visualize these streamings coming up down into the central sun atoma of the planet, coming back up through Uluru and spreading out and going through all the portals, coming out through Stonehenge, coming out through Glastonbury, coming out through the Pyramid of Giza, coming out through all the pyramids in Mexico. It's just going to start streaming out, and it's going to create a very, very strong light-centric force within the Pyramidus radius, which is the main grid matrix of the planet that is now forming through the whole pyramid process. And so, that's what it has to do with us. Everything. Everything. And that's why I believe it's such an important date. Now, I'm not, it's like you're not going to see it on all the different New Age sites. Aha, this is the date coming up. I'm probably going to be the only person talking about it. Not because I'm the only person receiving on it. I believe there are a lot of different aspects of it that people will be receiving and will be talking about. You may not recognize the correlations unless you look at it all and see it. But I don't know if anybody else is going to be saying, aha, May 29th, these star streams are coming. But I really, honestly, folks, I do believe this is happening. I do believe it in my heart and soul. That's all I can tell you. Is it really happening? I can never tell you if anything I say is really true. I can only tell you that I feel it in my heart and soul. And that's how it's been since I was 17 years old and I started doing all of this. If I feel it in my heart and soul, I share it. So I'm sharing this with you. And as I do, I get really emotional about it because I can feel all that's brought us up to this point and all that's leading us through into the future. And now we are literally, I don't mean to be what is the word? improper, but I just have to say it. I feel that it's like we're suckling the tit now of the new earth dynamic. We're actually being fed the milk, the colostrum from the mother, right out of the beginning time, right out of the atopic mother being, the Nutra universe. And so that's what it means to me. Everyone has to find their own meaning in it all, if indeed there is one for you. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Well, there is one other thing, and that is those of us who are working with the Osiris Arising Project and the hosting crystal skulls for the dweller crystal skulls. And as I say on the other videos, the dweller skulls play a major role in this because they are operating with the DNA history, the bloodline history of the Earth. And I don't speak about races here. I'm talking about the true stellar coordinates that flow through all races. And they are also, on my matrix altar, I have the 3 skulls that are not dweller hosts, but are representing these very 3 portals, the Omicron, the Stellar Maris, and the other one. And so they are holding this grid for the matrix of the whole dweller matrix that we're working with in Osiris Arising. So those who are the Sholar priestesses, sistars, who are have hosting skulls that they are guardianing and working with, it is really important for you now to focus those star-streaming energies on May 29th into the whole process that you're seeing, down into the Atoma, up into Uluru, and out upon the surface of the planet. As you do so, hold the skull or skulls and allow that circuitry to move into the skulls and into you. It's a process of bringing an assimilation into the whole frequency of the Osiris Arising Project. And what we have set up is our part of the greater Osiris matrix, which is the whole dweller matrix. So now I think I'm going to conclude, but I am also going to create a very short activational video. It's going to be short. It's not going to be extremely fancy, but I believe it will help you work with these processes. And I decided not to connect it to the end of this because this is, I'm just rambling along telling you these things. It's very informal. And I would like to create a more professional little video for you to work with energetically. So this is the first part of that, and you'll see the second as a separate video.